Rico Verhoeven and Alexander Usyk are going to fight in Egypt, May 23rd, 2026. And a lot of boxers who are, he said the feed is terrible. Why? What's going on with the feed? Are you talking about the sound, or what is terrible? Explain. Let me know. Let me know specifically what is terrible, Marty. Anyways, so the other part that we're going to talk about is obviously the White House. Okay, there's a lot of disastrous things going on, matchmaking with the White House. So we're going to have to really reevaluate what's going on with the UFC White House card, right? Now, obviously, it is happening, but it is not happening at this fantasy that you guys have going on, right? The fantasy is that it's going to be a great night. It's going to have loads of championship fights, and maybe it will. Now, the drawback of that is having to deal with the reality that after the White House, you got other fights to deal with. Okay? Okay, I can hear you now. Okay. Yeah, so two things we're going to talk about. The pyramids, okay, where Usyk and Rico Verhoeven are going to fight at. They are literally going to fight in front of the pyramids. And the White House card, they're going to fight in front of the White House. Who would have ever thought? Jimmy says, Drax. He says, haven't heard anything before. What do you mean? I haven't heard. Okay, you're saying you weren't able to hear anything before, so now the audio came in. Is that what you're saying? Type 1 if that's what you are confirming to, just so I know. Okay, so yeah, is Usyk boxing over? Is Usyk boxing over? Yes, this is signed, my man. This fight is signed, sealed, and delivered. And I wondered the other day, I saw Turkey El-Sheikh coming off of the fight with Ryan Garcia, right? He flew from Las Vegas to Egypt, and I thought, wow, okay, this is interesting. I know that Saudi Arabia. I have family on both sides of that, so I understand the level of diplomacy that they have. But I'm wondering, why was it Turkey El-Sheikh that was sent over? He says nothing goes over his head. He would catch it. I don't understand what you mean by that. He has ADD, man. Sometimes he misses things. What exactly am I missing here? I don't understand what you guys are saying. Am I missing something here? What's going on? Yeah, anyways, sometimes I don't read what you guys have to say because you guys are, sometimes a little bit distracting with what I'm saying. But then again, there's people out there that say, he says, dude, he looks like Dave Bautista's little brother. Well, Dave Bautista is half Filipino and half Greek. So there you go, right? He has a little bit of that Mediterranean / Filipino thing going on. So I think that's kind of, he says, you just misread things sometimes, but you have a lot going on in your head. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That is true, man. I do have a lot going on in my head, but I tell you the two things that are going on in my head right now, right? A boxing fight in front of the pyramids in Giza, and then the UFC fight in front of the White House, which unfortunately is really going to destroy a lot of the UFC, okay? It's going to destroy a lot of the UFC. ADD gang in the house, Mark Haney, my fellow Bay Area dude, man. We're about to have a London homie with us today, Zayn Musa Boxing. And Victory, he loves that. He loves that Zayn is gonna pull up, don't you? Jimmy says, like Dave, it's a very big head. You know what, man? Dave Batista doesn't really have a big head much nowadays, if you really think about it, right? He's a little bit skinnier now. And in his WWE days, remember when he debuted? Dudley had that preacher gimmick going on. Oh, testify, testify. He would really like go into that role, right? He would just absolutely dig right into his abdominal diaphragm and just go, oh, testify, testify. Yeah, he slammed down. And to see his fast going, yes, can't wait to hear his picks. LOL. Will you stop it, man? What do you mean his picks? Stop it. Stop it, will you, Marty? What are you talking about his picks? We all have picks. We all pick fight. We all pick the fights, right? We all say this guy's gonna win, that guy's gonna win. That's normal. Oh, I see what you're saying. The gambling aspects of it, huh? That's what you're. Yes, it's gonna be great, man. He says, yeah, I love Dave Batista. Drax is all okay. That's why you said Drax. Got it. Got it. Okay, I didn't understand what you were saying or the meaning. He was already old. He says he's in with Jason Momoa. It was pretty good. I heard Jason Momoa was a pedo. Is that true? Is that true, guys? You guys have to kind of give me the rundown on that, right? That's what I heard. I heard there's some things going around with Jason Momoa saying that he's a pedo. So, I don't know what's up with that. I don't know what to believe. But you know how it is, right? They put labels on people until we find out later on that that's not true. Michael Jackson is one example of that. Okay, Michael Jackson is a strong example of that. If you guys remember, when Michael Jackson had that situation going on in Neverland, little did we know that all he was doing this whole time was trying to save those kids from the Epstein Island. He says, I haven't liked Momoa much since he played a gay character in the Fast and the Furious. He was gay in a Fast and the Furious movie? Man, I don't know, man. You know what? He's definitely not the kind of Samoans I roll with. You know what I mean? Definitely not, bro. You know what I mean? He couldn't hang out in the hood, with that type of persuasion that he has going on. But yeah, it was a good action comedy. Okay, so that's kind of what he specializes in. He says, "Do you think Mayweather versus Pacquiao 2 will go down as the fight of the century?" Well, the first fight was supposed to be the fight of the century, right? But what a lot of people, you know what? They decided, hey, uh, we want to see him get knocked out. I think this fight is going to go any different. Okay, I think there's a chance. There could never hang. Jason Momoa could never hang in that time. real quick. Guys don't get with them because they kind of look like. I don't know about that, man. You know what I mean? Definitely, wife is a plastic fake bitch, and then on top of that, I am now in the house. I am now set to go into the studio, and there it is. As soon as I walk in, Al Jazeera is playing in my house. What do you know? Arnell says Pacquiao has been active the last couple of years. Mayweather has fought Tyson. He's going to fight Tyson. He's going to fight Tyson, and that's an exhibition. Obviously, Tyson is a little bit older. Even if he really wanted to knock out Tyson, he really couldn't, right? So there's that. Um, all right. Now we just got to turn on some of the lights in here. Get some lights going. All right, here we go. Now, all right, so we're back in home base. There it is, man. Okay, I'm going to try to get Zane up in here. So let's see here. All right, so we back. Yes, yes. I had to get in here. So where is this dude, man? Come on, Zane, pick up, brother. He says, don't forget to ask about Ramadan. You ask him. You know what I mean? I'm not asking him. You know, none of that. You ask him. You know, you are the audience. I am the host. You know, and the dude is my homie. So you ask him. You know what I mean? So come on, Zane, pick up, pick up, pick up. Yeah, man, it's getting hot out in California now, right? You know, got the springtime weather going on now. He says, "Aren't y'all allowed to hold each other accountable?" Yes, yes, yes. Of course, of course. But not for the purposes of what do you call it? Of trying to make a live stream, obviously. You know what I mean? So there's that, right? All right. Speaking of accountable, I will definitely hold them accountable for not picking up on the phone. Hold on. I'm live right now. Get in here. Okay, so understandable. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah. So there's a lot of disastrous things that are going on at this White House card, right? Let's start with the White House card first because I really want to save some of my thoughts on the Rico Verhoeven Usyk fight. Right, he's probably at a buffet casino. You know what? I don't think they have casinos in the UK. Right? Do they have casinos in the UK? I mean, they probably have to go to Monaco for something like that. Right? I think that's the next town over. He says Moreno is out. What? Hold up, man. Hold up. Is that confirmed? Is that confirmed news? We will see how he does tomorrow anyway. Okay, but what did you mean when you said that he's out? Out from what exactly? All right, we got someone spamming in here. I don't know what that is about, but let's see here. Okay. So Moreno is out. He says, Skippy, they should have a steroid weight class where all the fighters are juiced to the max. Skippy, they had that. It's called Pride FC, right? That's literally what Pride FC was about. They literally had all the guys taking steroids and they were completely okay with it, right? They were completely okay with everybody taking steroids, and that was that. Victory says UK has one of the largest casinos called Hippodrome. Okay, okay. So that's that. Okay, that makes sense. Um, let's call Zane up again. He says Moreno doesn't want to be in the White House card. Yeah, he says the reason why he did, and that's another thing, right? There's a lot of fighters that don't want to be on this card. Okay, and another thing you guys have to understand, right? Not everybody loves Donald Trump. Okay, I understand. I understand that the MMA world loves Donald Trump, and even myself, I could understand the attraction behind it. I could understand his purpose for the sake of promoting our sport. But not everybody likes Donald Trump, especially not the fighters and certainly not the fans. Now, what I don't like about this is that, for one, the right wing people, the conservative people, you already know that they are, in MMA, right? They are already stuck on MMA. They are going to watch MMA and they're going to be down for MMA for as long as they live. Now, what about everybody else, right? The conservatives are already locked down. You're already alienating everybody else. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, he's not picking up once again. You know what I mean? Like, very disappointed right now. Very disappointed in this man. He said many hardcore Trumpers are changing their minds about him, finally figuring him out. Right. Yeah, right. That's the thing, right? His approval rate, here's another thing, right? His approval rate has shot down significantly. Okay, shot down significantly. Breaking news, announce it live. Sac Kings owner snitched on. Wow, wait, hold up. What is this? The Sacramento Kings owner snitched on Mencho. So Sac Kings owner Vivek Randavi is being credited online with providing critical intel that supposedly helped the Mexican military kill El Menchino, the leader of the CJNG. Wow. Wow. Okay, that is wow. Okay, that is some crazy news right there. Check this out right here. Yeah, the modern day Hunger Games standard. Right. So that's the thing, right? A lot of fighters, are not really interested in this card, man. They're not really interested in in getting in there. Where is this Zane dude, bro? Come on, man. I'm gonna call him again on video, man. You know what I'm saying? This is me calling Zane on video right now, man. But yeah, man. Is anyone surprised by that? Look at this. Vivek, the owner of the Sacramento Kings. Wow, that is crazy, man. Wow. Basketball franchises are supposed to run sports, not international enforcement operations. So why is a team owner connected to information used against a foreign drug lord? Fans deserve to know what world professional sports is actually operating inside of. I tell you what, look, this is what a lot of people don't understand, right? A lot of these guys who are owners of professional sports, they are tied to multiple things, right? They are also tied to government agencies, and primarily the reason why they're tied to a lot of government agencies is because they can provide information that, let's say, an intel agent needs, right? Take a look at Epstein. Now, what was the whole thing about Epstein, right? He was an influential guy who knew very influential people, and as a result of that, they needed him to extract information from different people. And Vivek is no different than that, right? Somewhere down the line, Vivek might have met, let's say, somebody that was connected to the drug world. Okay? he might have been connected to somebody in the drug world, and maybe as an informant. And then I'm seeing snitch emojis right now in the chat by Savachi Financial. So there it is, man. That's really what it comes down to. There's a lot of things going on there. He says Indians say India is the motherland and Israel is the fatherland. Well, there you go. Take a look at what happened with Modi recently. You know what I mean? Take a look at what happened with Modi recently. And yeah, man, Zayn is really a serious disappointment right now. He really needs to get in here. I planned this. I called him ahead of time. I told him to roll up here, and I don't know, man. It's honestly quite embarrassing, especially if I told you guys that he was going to be here. But I don't know. He says Pride FC was ran by the Yakuza. Correct. Correct. Most of fighting has criminal ties to it. Okay, because quite frankly, a lot of fighters love to be around gangsters. This is not a revelation that I'm sure you guys are surprised by. Victory says probably had a green out. A green out? What do you mean by that? A green out? Are you talking like, green out as in weed, or green out as in, the Yakuza's punked Dana White out of Japan? How? Was that during the Chuck Liddell days or what? Oh, smoke too much. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's probably the that's probably a thing, isn't it? That's the thing with weed, right? You could say that, you know, um, you could say that what do you call it? You could say that weed is good for you to a certain extent, but sometimes really, it doesn't. Um, yeah, Ali Khan. Yeah, you don't know what I do, my man. You don't know what I have going on, right? I'm so sick and tired of like broke people talking about like, oh, it must be nice or this and that, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't know what I got going on. I don't have to explain anything to you. You can only assume, right? Like, see, this is another thing I think a lot of you really need to understand, right? Like, for those that actually know me in real life, they know who I am, they know what I do, they know what I got going on. And by the way, there's also a reason why I can't go into too much details about this story that I'm just reading right now about the Sacramento Kings owner. But anyways, I'm gonna just leave it at that. He says it's not a jab at you, but I'm just saying, okay, yeah, but you know what? Like, no, I understand what you're saying, Ali Khan. What I'm trying to say is that the part where you go, it must be nice. When you say things like that, that sounds like a jealous person. I'm just gonna be honest with you about it, bro. Like, I love you, bro. Muslim brother to Muslim brother, cool. But I'm just being real and being honest about it. And I don't know. Look, forgive me. Maybe it's the low sugar level that's talking right now. But when I hear stuff like that, I just think like, you know what, man, what's up with this, dude, bro? You know what I mean? Like talking about must be nice. Bro, listen, let me tell you something, bro. I know dudes that have way more money than me, right? Way more money than me. I will never go up to him and say, oh, it must be nice. It must be nice that you can commit all the crimes in the world and then yet, your parents can pay all of these lawyers for you. Oh, it must be nice. Said me never to, anyone. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but forgive me. Forgive me if I'm, coming across as, a little cranky right now, or if it's the, low sugar blood level that I got going on. But you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, that's just how I took it. Savachi Financial says that's known in the underworld. Yeah, why they weaponize their 9 to 5 like that. Yeah. Standard says the White House card audience will also probably be millionaires and billionaires. They'll probably just applaud him anyways. I wonder how natural crowd will react. Well, here's the thing, right? Just because it's going to be a lot of elites that are there, right? Sean Strickland sort of hinted and said that, this is, nothing more than, like the Epstein Island type of situation going on, which he kind of has a point to that, right? But it doesn't mean that they aren't fans. If you remember, even Epstein himself was a big UFC fan. He was a big John Jones fan. uh, Daniel Cormier had a funny conversation with Ben Askren about this, right? He said to Ben Askren, he's like, "Hey, uh, John Jones, Epstein was a John Jones fan, right?" And DC couldn't believe it. He's like, are you pulling my leg?" He said to Ben Askren, he's like, "Are you pulling my leg? You're just saying that, right?" He's like, "No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding, DC. He's really, John Jones fan." And he said that John Jones is his favorite fighter, and DC could not stop laughing. Let me see if I could pull up a video of that, right? Let me see if there's a video of DC reacting to that. Okay, Epstein favorite fighter. Let me see if there's something to that extent. But also, Ali Khan, how do you figure that I have financial freedom? Again, you guys don't know me. I only tell you what you need to know, and that's really all there is to it. I'm not here to, I'm not here to tell you everything about me. Don't get it twisted. You guys don't know me, with the exception of the people in real life that actually know me. Like, just understand that. So, okay, Loner Kavanaugh. No, there. Where is that video of Let me see if I can go on Google on a search engine and see if we can find that. Oh, John Jones responded after his name resurfaced. John. So what did he say here? Oh, okay. John Jones had this emoji right here. He had this emoji to say after the fact, right? When he found out that that was his favorite fighter, he's like, "Oh man," just like that right there, right? That was John Jones's whole entire reaction to that one right here. All right, let's I wanted to wait until Zane got here, but I guess I'm just gonna start without him on this reaction to the Giza situation here, the Giza fight between Usyk and um, and Rico Verhoeven. Victory says last spar for Nate tonight. Yeah, how about this? How about I send your stupid ass to the shadow realm? You know what I mean? How about that? He says, when did you stop sparring? When did you stop sparring for a fight? 1 week out, but I don't recommend that. I would say 2 weeks out is when you should stop, right? But people want to spar like 1 week before they're sparring, so yeah. All right, so here it is. Alexander Usyk's return to the ring will be unique, as the one-time, three-time undisputed champion will defend the WBC belt title against Rico Verhoeven. So the WBC belt will be on the line. Okay, the fight will headline an event dubbed "Glory of Giza: Undefeated Icons," and stream live and exclusive. So Usyk is 24-0, 15 knockouts, is coming off of his fifth round knockout of Daniel Dubois in July, and had limited options for his next fight, as he's already beaten Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois 2 times each since 2021. So the discussions surrounding a possible fight with former WBC champion Deontay Wilder, but Usyk opted to go a different direction. We'll spar tonight, but it will be controlled. Okay. So Usyk 39 had teased an announcement coming earlier this week on social media about about the Glory Kickboxing's longtime champion, and has been discussed. Not only will Usyk step into the ring with a man widely regarded as one of the greatest kickboxers of all time with a record of 66-10, but he will also do it at the pyramids of Giza in North Africa, which obviously is Egypt, right? So Usyk says, and I'm going to do it with my Russian voice, right? I truly respect people who reach the very top of their sport, Usyk said in a statement. Rico is one of them. Powerful athlete and great champion. Being a champion isn't just about belts. It's about years of hard work, discipline, belief. I respect his journey. He is truly king of kickboxing. But this is boxing, a different game, within its own rules and its own kings. And then he says, I am ready and looking forward to meeting him in the ring. And it's going to be a unique experience for both of us. And I know that fans are excited too. Okay, so fighting out of the Netherlands, Rico Verhoeven held the Glory kickboxing title for about 4,220 days with 13 successful consecutive defenses from 2013 to 25. The Dutch kickboxer has tried his hands at boxing once and defeated. Okay, so he has one boxing fight. All right, he's now 36 years old. Has also won MMA fight, a TKO win. Rico says, I spent 12 years as the undisputed heavyweight kickboxing champion and accomplished everything I set out to accomplish. So now he's looking for a new challenge right now. So that is the new challenge that he has going on right now. So all right, let me hit up Zane one more time here. Let's see where this fool is at. What's up with it, fool? Oh, there's that. All right. So, anyhow, let's see here. So Dana White has an announcement, I believe, right? I also heard he had an announcement today. Is throwing one of the most expensive events. So here's the thing about the UFC, right? He says, how long ago did you talk to him? Less than an hour ago. So Dana White is throwing one of the most expensive events in UFC history. By the way, they're throwing away $30 million for this fight. I just need you guys to kind of, really put that in perspective, right? $30 million. This fight is going to, last. That's how much they're going to spend. $30 million in loss, right? In lost profit. And you also have to remember, there's fights before and after the White House, and they're not taking care of it. That's the crazy part about all this. He says, wow, can't believe he's leaving you hanging. Hopefully nothing happened. Maybe his debts finally caught up to him. I don't know about all that, man. I hope not. That's kind of a weird, a really off the wall possibility. But I don't know how plausible that is. So, the UFC at the White House will cost tens of millions, but will not be profitable. So, in other words, they're giving Donald Trump a gift, a birthday gift that he vehemently, almost doesn't really deserve. Right? He doesn't deserve this gift. If you think about it, it's so crazy that man, 30 million that they're going to lose out on. I want you to think about that, right? Let's put on some more lights here. 30 million. That's crazy work, man. 30 million. And they're not even concerned with what's going to happen after the fact, right? They're not concerned with what do you call it? The championship fights that they're going to have, because look, you got to have championship fights later down the road. They're not even entertaining that, right? They want to just throw it all in one particular event. You know how Dana White used to say, hey, you know what? Boxing likes to operate at a going out of sale business. Well, what exactly do you think this is? This is literally the quintessential reality of a going out of sale business. So it's crazy work, man. Okay, let's see here. Usyk versus here's Ariel Helwani breaking this news in right here. And of course, you know, Ariel Helwani is Egyptian, right? That's why he looks like my cousin that I showed you guys, Amin Abu El-Kheer. So,
the Usyk news.
What
could possibly
Did it break?
It has just broke.
Okay.
So Usyk is taking on Rico Verhoeven at the Pyramids of Giza.
What? Is this a Mad Libs? Are you doing a Mad Libs right now? Oh my
Here
lord.
we go. Here's Turkey. Legends collide where legends were built on.
and I tell you what, they're not kidding, all right? And there's a reason why they are doing this, right? Obviously, Saudi Arabia is heavily affiliated with the Egyptian government, right? They work side by side together, okay? They work side by side together, and this is going to help the tourism of Egypt. That's the main goal, and that's the main plan of this whole entire thing, is to do that, right? To help Egypt in their tourism. Now, here's the thing about Egypt that a lot of you guys don't know, right? Egypt is a tourist hub, obviously, because of the Giza pyramids, right? It always has been a big hub for, tourism. Not only just Egypt, Cairo. There's also the southern parts of Egypt, Luxor. There's also Alexandria, right? A lot of good seafood down there, by the way. And now you got boxing. The Saudis want to import what they got going on and then import it into tourism. And this is what they are doing. They are teaching the Egyptians how to build up their tourism even more through sports. Okay? Because prior to that, Egypt is a soccer country, which is why Mohamed Salah is one of the biggest athletes who have come out of Egypt. Him, and right next to Ibrahim Gabber, the former wrestling gold medalist, Greco-Roman champion. So
On May 23rd, under the shadows of the ancient giants, Alexander Usyk takes on Rico Verhoeven at the iconic Pyramids of Giza.
This is like another dimension we just got
What?
thrown into.
what is happening?
Oh my lord.
This is
Glory
I'm
in
looking at
Giza,
the
that
poster.
one writes itself, you know, right? I know.
It is it has ring logos here. I'm looking for Zuffa, Sella, WBC. It does not seem to be in the Zuffa, but we said that about Conor Benn as well. A beautiful poster here with Usyk and Rico Verhoeven appearing like hieroglyphs. Well,
That's wild, man. We're just talking about Netflix kind of throwing.
Yeah, and it is kind of crazy, right? If you look at the fight poster between them, it looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics. What, right? Very stereotypical, that of the Egyptian culture, right? So here's the funny thing about this, right? Egypt is a Sunni majority country, right? As a Sunni majority country, you would think that they're not going to be into all this pagan worshiping of the pharaohs, right? But when it comes to marketing Egypt, they lean right into it. They lean into the stereotype of the pharaohs, Cleopatra, King Tut, all of these things. They lean right into that. And now they lean right into that with the promotion of Rico Verhoeven and Alexander Usyk, right? Dressed as some sort of like, hieroglyphic mummies or something.
Throwing these things up, and then you get something like this. What a wild thing. They had talked about last year, right, doing a fight at like Alcatraz, and they were mentioning all these different strange backdrops that they wanted to do, and I guess they're
so that's another thing that Turkey talked about, right? The backdrop of New York, he did that. Now it's the backdrop of White House. They are about to do that, and make no mistake, the Saudis are heavily involved in investing with the UFC, right? So I would not be surprised if they were a contributor to the White House card, as much as they were a contributor to the Spear, as much as they were a contributor to Canelo and Crawford. Now they got a new, different backdrop, and it's the Giza at the pyramids.
fulfilling with the pyramids of Giza. I guess they're fulfilling some of that.
It's the Zone as well. I figured Netflix.
Yeah.
It has the DAZN logo there. That is an absolutely insane booking, lads. I am
Good for Rico.
Yeah,
That's a big get, man.
And yes, it is for the WBC World Heavyweight Championship as well.
Wow.
I mean, what a debut for young Verhoeven.
Crazy, man.
Think Rico, just kick him once.
I know, I was going to say.
Marty says, yeah, a lot of the Egyptian stuff is very satanic. That's what I'm saying, right? But they lean into it knowing that they are modernly, in the modern terms, a hardcore Sunni Muslim country, right? I mean, that's really the best way to put it. They are a Muslim country, but yet they sell merchandise that deals with the pharaohs. They lean into it when it comes to their entertainment, how they package their tourism guide. He says the occult uses a lot of Egyptian symbolism. There you go, man.
Just to see, just for
like muscle memory, bam, like.
Yeah, you take a shot, you get wobbled, you kind of forget where you are, and the reflexes kick in. The next thing you know, you're front kicking a boxer in his chest. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Doing it. What ideas are they turning down when they're sitting around being like, all right, so we've narrowed it down to a few options. It's either pyramids of Giza, Roman Colosseum,
you do there,
or the moon. Like
how much does it cost to get to the moon? Will you look that up? We're doing Giza. That's wild, man. But dude, given like now what you saw what Rico's into, like, I mean, completely smart for him not to go to the UFC. Why would he?
Yeah, I always didn't think that was an option. I
Yeah.
really never thought that was a real thing. If boxing was an option for him, and a name like that is an option for him, I just didn't see how you.
Yeah, he ain't been here in a while, right? He says that guy is the GOAT because he lets people say what they want and speak their mind. You know what that sounds like when you say something like that? Okay, this is going to sound off the wall, but I think you're going to understand it. You remember the Haktua girl, right? I want you to think about this, right? The Haktua girl got famous for saying something that, quite frankly, a lot of men are deprived from. Okay? A lot of men are so deprived from, getting a Haktua that in reality, they look at her as a hero because it's like, yeah, you go, girl. You're telling us what we actually need. And for whatever reason, this guy probably feels suppressed in his life. Somebody stops him from saying what he wants. Maybe it's his parents that tell him, hey, don't say this. Or maybe it's his workplace because, maybe he works in a work environment where you're really not allowed to say anything, right? A lot of, opinions can be volatile for this workplace. Or he's just been around people that were willing to punch him in the face if he was to say the wrong thing. And so he runs across someone like me and he feels like, wait, maybe this guy is the GOAT after all because he's calling for something that I really want. Well, a lot of you guys were calling for Hawk Tuah for something that you really want, and for whatever reason, you guys are deprived from. Proud FBA says most religions come from Egypt. The Kemetic stories. Oh, proud FBA, huh? So FBA, you are a foundational Black American, correct? I think that's what it is. He says, interesting comparison, but you're probably right. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of the reason of how he looks at me, right? He's so deprived from freedom of speech towards whatever he means by that that he sees someone like me and feels like, you know what, this is the breath of fresh air that we need. Obviously, I'm not trying to like insert myself into that, but he's obviously trying to describe, why. So he says, I do respect that about you. You always let people express their opinions, regardless of how crazy they might be. And you know what? I think it's just that I have an understanding and valuing entertainment. I think that's really what it comes down to. Like, I get and understand entertainment, and so I know that allowing people to speak is sort of an entertainment type of factor. Right now, if I was to see these people in person, I don't know, man. Certain opinions are not based on um, like just emotions or whatever. But yeah, he says, one time someone came in and said something outrageous about Kirk, and you just said, well, that's an interesting take. Look, Charlie Kirk is a polarizing figure. And you know what? Quite frankly, I think the guy was a grifter, right? Why is it that you hear multiple stories of Charlie Kirk and they'll tell you something different? Some will say that he's siding with Israel, and some say he's anti-Israel. Some will say that he tried to criticize Israel, and then they, unalived him for that reason. I mean, it's crazy.
UFC could compete on that level. Obviously, we're hearing this Conor Ben stuff, but we know Sella is paying for that now. It is quite a, like, to your point, Chuck, this feels like a Netflix event. It feels like two worlds colliding. It feels like a spectacle more than a title fight. Like, am I crazy? Like, I'm a huge Rico fan, but I'm not giving him a hope in hell against Usyk in a boxing match.
He says you'll say things that a lot of people are afraid of. I feel like you do a great job of being objective. Well, thank you. There you go, right? And you know what that is? You ever remember, right? I'm a classically trained journalist, right? Being a public relations agent is not that different than being a journalist. The only difference is that when you're a public relations agent, you work for a specific company or a specific group, and you speak towards their favors, right? Whereas with the news, they speak towards the objectivity of the news that is in front of you, right? The when, where, and how, and and the information surrounding that. And I think that is what is missing in classical journalism, not just in MMA journalism, but in journalism overall.
I'm not either. Ultimately, I mean, I'm processing this on the fly, but I would like his chances better than I would have Ngannou going against Fury, and like he put on a good fight, right? Like a little longer in the tooth, maybe kind of looking at the looking at the horizon, ready to kind of get out. You never know, but I agree with you. If he looks anything like the Usyk we've been watching for some like the last bunch of years, it shouldn't be competitive. But again, these types of things. And this is the event with a capital E thing that Ben was talking about. Like, it doesn't really matter about the imagination is now the thing that we're trying to work with, right? Like, it's all about, like, let's do something crazy and draw a bunch of people to look at it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And, it kind of works. I know I'm not saying anything that nobody has mentioned before, but eventually the oil's going to run out. I say that as just sort of a global fact of what it means to have finite resources. There were only so many dinosaurs.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Fossil fuels, baby. There's only so much of it in the ground.
Yeah.
And we're not making more of it at a quick enough rate. So eventually that oil's going to run out, and with it the oil money, and somebody's going to be sitting around in the year 2022 or 2230 or something like that, going like, there used to be so much money from this stuff called oil.
All right. So here's the thing about this, right? Yes, I agree. I think Rico Verhoeven would probably do a better job than Francis Ngannou, considering that he's a striker, right? And I think, yeah, with that in mind, it's a lot more even in terms of how this would turn out. Right now, look, with boxing, it's a little bit different. It's such a different type of rhythm. What did Victory here say? The Raja thing wasn't a great example. When that happened, everyone I heard talk about it was completely against him. You looked at it from a perspective and tried to understand the situation. Correct, correct, right? Like, I think, look, you also have to understand the people that you hear talk about it are MMA people. Look, MMA people are, how do I say this, man? MMA people are pro-white. You know what I mean? Like that's just really the best way to put it. They are pro-white. They don't look at this kid as one of their own. He's a black kid. On top of that, he's a rich black kid, son of a legend. So he's very hard to relate to, right? The only thing that you can relate to with Raja, is if you're a fighter yourself, because he's a fighter himself and he trains himself. And if you train yourself, you can relate to him in that kind of way. But other than that, what you see out of him is a black kid, right? A black kid that, can come across as dangerous to you, can come across as somebody that would beat up your dad, beat up your family members. I didn't see it that way. Okay. The reason why I didn't see it that way is because, I come from a different perspective. I come from a different culture, whatever culture that is. And, your mileage may vary on that. But what did he say here? Yeah, he said he's coming back to streaming, by the way, and Rampage is slowly becoming one of the top streamers. Wow. You know what? Doesn't surprise me, right? So he got kicked out of Kick, right? What platform is he going to do his streaming in? Kick again? Is he going to open up another account, or is he just going to do the streams with his dad? But what happened with his case? I mean, what? So he's not facing any prison time, or what? They just decided not to press any charges. What happened with that exactly?
They were just being like, screw it, let's put on a boxing match at the pyramids. And they didn't have to worry about if they were going to make that money back at all. They're just glad to do it. Just glad to throw their names.
Okay, and back to what I was reacting to Pete Carroll and these guys at the Ariel Helwani show talking about this. Here's one thing that I kind of noticed, right? Yes, this is a project that the Saudis are doing, primarily because what the Saudis are trying to do is create different revenue outside of oil, right? Oil is Saudi Arabia's top resource for a long time. Well, what if that starts running out? Well, now they're trying to get their hands into professional sports. Now, look, here's this lawsuit that is going on with Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. I'm sorry, well, not Eddie Hearn. He's not part of it, but Frank Warren and Sella. In this lawsuit, if you notice, Frank Warren is suing for $1 billion. $1 billion, right? That's a lot of money. $1 billion. Why is he suing them for $1 billion? Well, it's plain and simple, right? The Saudis were taking everybody, and there's a reason why they are taking all of these fighters. And by the way, they're using Dana White to take all these fighters, including Conor Benn. So the reason why they are taking everyone from the fight game is because this is going to be Saudi Arabia's use of resources, right? They're going to have new human resources. They're going to have new companies such as UFC, TKO, The Ring, all of boxing's, promotions. That is what they are planning to do, and they're planning to drive out all these other promoters. So as they're driving out all of these other promoters, they are easily taking in the talent. They are easily taking in the promotions and even the copyright deals and rights to the product and content surrounding it. He says, I've never heard of Conor Benn in my life. Crazy, he's getting 15 million. You know what? So here's the thing, right? Sean O'Malley complained. But here's the thing that Sean O'Malley can't complain on. They already have you. You already signed a contract. Okay? When you signed a contract, you're set. They haven't signed Conor Benn yet, but they needed to. So as a result of having to sign Conor Benn, they can now create a non-competitive realm of business. And what do I mean by that? Well, you can't make money off of Conor Benn. So in other words, what the Saudis are doing is bleeding out the other promotions. So why are they bleeding out the other promotions? Because they want to buy the other promotions. Once they buy the other promotions, they have control of the industry. Once they have control of the industry, they now added new resources into the Saudi economy. That is what's going on here. He says, well, the UFC doesn't really have a competition. And that is why people like Sean O'Malley, so that's a very good point, Marty, right? And that is the reason why Sean O'Malley signed the contract, because he can't go anywhere. Nowhere else in the MMA world can pay him the amount of money that the UFC can, and the UFC pays the lowest to their top stars. Okay, they pay the lowest to their top stars, and so they can't go anywhere. So they have the leverage to keep them on a cap. And if you want to complain about Conor Benn, you have to understand this. They didn't get Conor Benn yet. Okay? Before the 15 million, they didn't get him yet. But the reason why they wanted to go after him was because they know that now Eddie Hearn can't use them. So what happens in turn? Now Eddie Hearn is fully dependent on the Saudis. And by the way, here's another thing, right? It is Dana White that did it, not the Saudis. You understand? It's the Saudis using a proxy. Because remember, these are government heads of state. When you are dealing with a government head of state, this is how they think. They think in a way of using special forces, using proxy forces. What do you think they do in Yemen? Sure, they do bombing raids in Yemen. Sure, they do military operations in Yemen. But ultimately, they use Sunni forces to fight the Shias in Yemen. So in other words, arm the Yemeni government that is predominantly Sunni. I think that's what it is, right? Let me make sure, right? So it's a approximate Sunni majority. So, okay, it's a Sunni-ran government. And then obviously the Houthis are the rebels. Victory says, I think it would be better for boxing if it was under one roof. Maybe not for all the fighters, but it would make for a better product. And that is exactly why they are doing that. And on top of that, they can also exercise a certain level of control. Okay, they can exercise a certain level of control as a result of that. So, but the fighters are going to have a problem with that, right? They are going to have a serious, serious problem with that notion, right? That notion of, you know what, you're going to cap my pay, you're going to limit the type of championship belts I'm going to fight for, because remember, Jai Apataya signed with Zuffa in the intention of trying to become undisputed. He's a unified champion. I don't think he's an undisputed champion yet, but the other sanctioning bodies seem to have a problem with Zuffa. And so it's going to be very difficult for them to do business with them. He says, just like the NFL, NBA, and MLB. See, the difference is they can have a league, right? Because with that league, they get paid because with that pay comes with a union. They have a players' union. They don't have that in the UFC. So all of these complaints that fighters have about Conor Benn, these UFC fighters that have about Conor Benn, it falls on deaf ears. Because they already signed a contract. So you can't ask for more. They haven't gotten Conor Benn yet. They wanted to bring in Conor Benn, but he costs $15 million. So that's exactly why they did that. They did that to become anti-competitive, right? Bleed out the competition. Because now Eddie Hearn can't use them. Eddie Hearn can't have the, what do you call it? The fights in... He can't have these fights anymore. He can't have these fights in the stadium with Conor Benn, which Conor Benn vehemently attracts, all right, along with Chris Eubank, and that's the result of it, right? Frank Warren, all right, they're making a big fuss about him suing guys. I hate to tell you, but he constantly sues people. He will sue journalists for the pettiest of things. Victory says, after these billion-dollar deals, UFC should have these guys set up with insurance and a pension of some sort. We'll see. We'll see if that's what they will do. He says maybe just for the top 15 of each division. Well, the problem with that is top 15s change all the time. You see what I'm saying? So everybody wants to make a meritocracy in the UFC. But how do you justify a meritocracy through fighter pay if some fighters deserve more or less than some others? You see what I'm saying? And it changes all the time. So now, okay, you're a number 16 guy. Well, you know, realistically, if you're a number 16 guy, you're unranked. You're an unranked guy fighting a number 14 guy. And what's going to happen? You're fighting for your medical insurance? Oh man, now that's some real Hunger Games stuff right there. He says, yeah, good point. Yeah. Yeah, so they can't just do it for 15 for the top 15 because that constantly changes. And when it constantly changes, there's no consistency behind it. Right? And now you're constantly switching it up, so it's just a mess. He says, yeah, dumb idea. No, it's not a bad... You know what's not a dumb idea is setting them up for insurance. The thing is, you just sort of decompressed it down to just a small sample of people or an ever-evolving, changing group of people, right? Which is the top 15, right? Nobody stays in the top 15 forever. I mean, there are guys that do, right? But what about the lower number 10 guys or the lower number 15 to 14 guys? Those guys change all the time. The top 10, it's sometimes unchangeable. Sometimes it never changes, right? But when it comes to the lower ranks, I mean, they change all the time. That's what the prelims are for. Everybody is fighting for a spot right there, man. You know, so not a dumb idea on your part, Marty. Just just missing a few factors there, right? Like the what ifs, right? Well, what if he doesn't make top 15? That's always a possibility. So, something to absolutely think about.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I know there must be boxing promoters. I mean, we mentioned Eddie Hearn earlier, and I think it was him who was talking about like working with Turkey Al-Sheikh is a little bit different, and not everybody is going to be up for it because he's like, you got to be willing to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you've already got 12 missed calls from them. And you got to be willing to, like, where you're saying, all right, let's see if we can iron this out and then we can announce it. And then you realize he's already announced it.
Right, just like me hitting up Zane, you know what I mean, a few times to get in here. What do we have here?
What's up, Mikey P? What's up, Kai? Hope you guys are doing great. But yeah, for some reason, Facebook keeps flagging what I'm typing. It's a long, drawn-out thing. I typed it out twice and it flagged it, so I'm just going to voice record this. But Mikey P, I agree with a lot of what you were saying. The whole America First thing, I'm actually not a big fan of Nick Fuentes. There's things he says that I like, but overall, I think I disagree with more than he says. I'm never loyal to any, podcaster, politician, anybody, right? That's the definition.
He says, I wonder what motivates these billionaires to take on new ventures. Boredom, passion. Okay, so Turkey El-Sheikh, if we're talking about Turkey El-Sheikh and Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, right? If you're talking about them just specifically, it is a passion for them. These guys, I've showed you guys a documentary on Turkey El-Sheikh, right? Him and Mohammed bin Salman used to hang out as teenagers before they went to the Saudi military academy, and they used to watch pro wrestling together, right? During the Attitude Era, when they were teenagers, when they were kids, they used to watch boxing together. They were MMA fans, UFC fans. They watched all the events, right? Very similar to what you saw in the Epstein files. He was trying to pay UFC Fight Pass to watch John Jones pay-per-view, right? This is them in a nutshell. So do they have passion for it? Yes. But you also have to understand Mohammed bin Salman and Turkey El-Sheikh are not just multi-billionaires, they're also statesmen. Okay, they are also statesmen. They are also compatriots of their country. They are also working for the interests of their country, right? So that's why they are doing this, because Saudi Arabia is going to run out of oil at some point. So what are you going to do? You seek out human resources. What do you mean by human resources? Well, Terrence Crawford is a human resource for Saudi Arabia. Dana White is a human resource for Saudi Arabia, which in turn makes the whole entire UFC roster an asset for Saudi Arabia. And here's the thing, right? I think Saudi Arabia secretly is funding the White House card, because there is no way they are allowing $30 million to go down the drain for whatever reason. Now, what's in it for the Saudis for paying $30 million for the White House card? It buys them diplomacy with Donald Trump. That's what it does. It buys them diplomacy, okay? Because they need to have somebody in the United States that will lobby for them. Now, why is it that the Saudis don't want to say out loud that they're funding the White House? And here's the most controversial take that you will ever hear on the internet. They don't want to say that they are funding the whole operation because you have to understand, Americans never forgot 9/11, or at least some of them didn't forget. But we're talking about a completely different generation of kids now who were not even born during 9/11, right? So they don't really care. But there are Americans who do care, or there are Americans who pass it down to their children and say, hey, this is what happened to us on September 11th. And when you look through the 9/11 files, there's one country that always pops up. Whether it's a person who comes from that country or whether it's a person that is a nationality of that country, but there's one country that always pops up in the 9/11 files, and it makes them look really bad. Okay? So that is why they are creating a facelift image for the world, and that's something you have to understand. Victory says, it can't be money if you already have billions. That's what I'm saying. It's statesmanship. It's diplomacy. That is what they have going on here. He says that's cool, good for combat sports. Yes, good for combat sports, but even better for Saudi Arabia's economy. And look, here's the thing, right? Egypt has always been the little brother of Saudi Arabia. Egypt is the quintessential little brother of Saudi Arabia. As a result of that, they have to look after them. They have to look after them. They have to look after Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry, Saudi Arabia has to look after Egypt. So what do? They help Egypt in their tourism, right? Because right now, with the economy of the world right now, with the economy of Europeans, a lot of Europeans are not making a lot of money the way that they used to. Remember some of the pictures I showed you guys when I went to Egypt in the mid 2000s, right? I met so many Europeans down there. So many Europeans, British, French, German, Dutch, even Australians, other Americans as well. Oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Ohio. Oh, cool. You're visiting here? Awesome. You know how it's like. You know how it is when you got foreign Chinese people that come here. You know, they don't know anybody. They don't know other people. So they see other Chinese people. They're like, oh, okay. Same thing with me. I meet other Egyptian Americans over there. I meet other people from the United States. I'm American too. Oh, snap. We're here together in Cairo. It was a great time. But now tourism is going down in Egypt. So they are helping them to boost, and they are helping them in a way where, like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's have a fight with Alexander Usyk and Rico Verhoeven in Egypt. He says, approximately how many billions do you think there are in the world? How many billionaires there are in the world? I don't know that number. That's a number that I don't necessarily know right there. You know, but yeah.
Mega is the mega people. They're not loyal to ideas and morals. They're loyal to Trump. And that's one of the reasons I actually don't like Nick Fuentes, because I feel like his followers are loyal to him and not ideas and morals. It's like whatever Fuentes says, we.
Is that an accurate number? 3,000 billionaires? Wow. Okay. Yeah, 3,000 billionaires. He says, I don't know how Glory wasn't more popular. Most of these fights are entertaining as hell. Well, guess what? That's the reason why Rico Verhoeven is going into boxing. They're like, hey, look, Usyk is running out of opponents, right? And there's not a lot of heavyweights in the world right now. And then on top of that, they also want to make an entertaining fight for a very well-known name. Why not get Rico Verhoeven in there? And plus, kickboxing is popular in Egypt, believe it or not. So there's going to be people that will recognize who Rico Verhoeven is in Egypt. Boxing is as well. Obviously, Usyk is world renowned, so that helps. And then you add Turkey al-Sheikh into it, along with the diplomatic partnership that Saudi Arabia and Egypt have. Here you are.
Do. But yeah, no, so the whole America First thing, I love the slogan America First, and I love what it represents. But like I said, Nick Fuentes doesn't own America First. Like, to me, America First means putting the American
900 in USA. Okay, all right. Have you been to Egypt? I have. Yes, I showed you a picture of me in the Red Sea. 2005. As I told you, right? This is the reason why Egypt is doing this. This is the reason why they agreed to this. Their tourism is going down right now. Job is subscribe, inshallah.